The Scrum Guide provides a foundation for teams to build upon when implementing the Scrum framework. It leaves a lot to be interpreted, but that's by design. As your teams work in the Scrum framework and they inspect and adapt, they'll tailor their processes so that it best supports them and their pursuit to deliver value to your customers. I'm going to tell you a couple of stories of how I've altered ceremonies with my team so that it works better for us in the long run, and why just because it's in the book or just because it's the way you've always done it doesn't mean it's the best way for you. A few years ago, one of my more mature teams was having some trouble with their retrospective. They found that they wanted to adapt more often than just end of sprint, and sometimes they would do so on the fly without really communicating to everybody on the team. So we had two key problems. We wanted to be able to change more frequently, and we wanted to be able to communicate at the same rate that we were introducing change into our process. Both of those things were equally important. So we made two changes to our traditional retro cadence. One, we added an online board that was hooked to our IM system. Whenever someone had a great idea about how they could improve the team's process, they would just shoot over an IM. There was no extra overhead or documentation time to take into account. It was simple and easy. And as soon as they did that, everyone else would get a quick notification. Hey, someone has an idea. We would figure out if we wanted to talk about it immediately because it was due to a high priority bug or story, or if it could in fact wait 5 or 6 days until retro. This allowed us to pick and choose and stay at the rate that worked for us. But we also were able to communicate at the rate that worked for us. IM took care of everything. We also changed our cadence a little bit. Rather than meet once at the end of sprint for an hour, we met twice for 30 minutes. Again, allowing us to pick up those high priority quick fix items in the middle of sprint and save those bigger, hey, this might be a next sprint kind of a change for the end of sprint, like a formal retro might. Mature teams can often want to move faster than those around them. Maybe they're more self-aware, maybe they've done this before, maybe they just like a challenge. It's not about holding them back, but teaching them to self-organize and take charge of their process, take ownership of it. Find out what works, what doesn't, and adapt. Maybe not on the fly. It's important to remember, this was done for a specific team in a specific circumstance. And whereas it may sound like a cure-all for the problem that your team's having, I urge you to sit down and take a look at your own process, separate from other teams and what they're doing. Just because it sounds easier doesn't mean it's right either. So take my words with a grain of salt and get creative with your process. If you need some help getting started altering your team's processes and understanding what ceremonies should be adjusted and which are good where they are, reach out to us, Project Genetics. We've got agile consultants, change managers, and a whole wonderful team of product delivery experts here to help you.